Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 17 video. Since there's like a whole bunch of Avengers news and stuff going on around the premiere and phase 3, I'm going to try and work that into so the video will be just like a little bit different from my normal format. What I'll do is I'll just talk about each of the big running plot lines and then I'll move into related Marvel Avengers stuff. So here we go. Just careful for spoilers in case you haven't seen the episode yet. Starting with Coulson's secret army. I think it's pretty clear here that Coulson has been building infrastructure for new inhuman people that he expects to find. The reason I think the real S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to get their hands on the toolbox is because it has information on where all these people are that Coulson's targeted and where all his bases are. And just to take it a step further, I really do think that they're trying to track down the people, the real S.H.I.E.L.D. are trying to find the superpowered people. Yeah, it's a big deal that Coulson's stockpiling supplies, weapons, but I think the real S.H.I.E.L.D. is more worried about the Inhumans than they are about the bases themselves. What I think is going to happen is that during Age of Ultron, we'll get a little more context as for why all these bases are necessary. They'll do most of the explaining on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like throughout the rest of the season. We'll find out exactly what Coulson's doing. But I think Age of Ultron in the movie, it'll add some context to that, so it'll make a little more sense. Especially giving us Nick Fury's perspective on the whole thing. They are building it out so that you don't have to go see the movie to understand what's going on in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and vice versa, but they do kind of work together to create a little more context. I also think all this Coulson's secret Inhumans base, Deathlock technology stuff is going to tie in with the spin-off show. They said that the remaining episodes this season will set up what's happening in the spin-off show, so it'll all make sense by the time we get to the end of the season. As you probably guessed from the end teaser too, Fitz will totally join up with Coulson. He'll totally shake the tail. I love the way Hunter teased like this big WTF moment that we never saw. Is there a dryer in that bathroom? Yes? You're going to be okay, mate. Sometimes those are the best moments, the ones that you don't see, like your brain just imagines something crazy happening. So jumping over to the Inhumans, Skye finally meets her mother and plays with her powers a little bit. I've said it before, I think this real S.H.I.E.L.D. versus S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff will figure into Captain America Civil War. It seems like they're teasing a civil war inside the Inhuman society too. Skye's mother explains their very strict rules and how people will get really pissed and they found out that Jia Ying was Skye's mother because she's the one that created the rules about who gets to take in the Terrigen Mist. They did a really good job of tying that to the Agent May plot. The family dinner also very touching. I think Skye was being genuine. She was happy to have dinner with her mother and father, even though she still hates her father. There was a small Easter egg for Daredevil in here because it seems like Skye and Daredevil stayed at the same orphanage for a period of time, although Daredevil is a little bit older. Skye said she's 26. They made it a big deal to say what her birthday was, which was kind of funny. Matt Murdock in the timeline right now, and I think that Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are running concurrently right now, like relatively in the same time frame. He's closer to like 28, 29, so he's like a little bit older, so they could have been at the orphanage at the same time. I know there's always a big question as to like what things get to cross over with other things. I think the ABC shows and the Netflix shows have high potential for crossover. It's much easier than say crossing Daredevil over with the movies. Lincoln showing up at the end was a lot of fun too because he realized that Raina is clairvoyant, which is a nice twist on Garrett in season 1. She kept talking about the clairvoyant. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be clairvoyant in real life. Like a real clairvoyant, not just someone stealing secrets. They're still trying to figure out what Raina's powers are, so I think it'll go beyond clairvoyance. It won't just be that. Like she'll probably have some sort of physical ability too with her spikes. George R. R. Martin said this really interesting thing about the way you build out superpowered characters. He said you have to balance stats, otherwise it becomes completely ridiculous. He was talking about board games, like role-playing board games. So like if a character is really big and really strong, they're probably not very dexterous. They probably don't have very strong magical resistance abilities. If a character is say like a dwarf with a lot of physical deformities and can't move really fast, he probably has very strong magic. So by that logic, Raina being extremely disfigured probably has very powerful abilities. I'm interested to see if there is some sort of civil war that's going on inside the Inhuman society, and it positions Raina and Gordon on one side, and Lincoln, Skye, and her mother on another side. It seems like Lincoln is a pretty nice guy. I don't think he's going to sell Skye out. It's unclear as to whether or not he knows Jia Ying is Skye's mother. It seems like he doesn't. But based on the way that the show has presented him, it seems like they want us to think of him as a friend. As opposed to Gordon, who's a little more neutral, it seems like he favors Raina. Like he's going to be taking care of her emotionally and taking care of her training. So if Raina hates Skye, it would stand to reason that Gordon would support Raina over Skye. We'll see how that develops because it seems like that Inhumans afterlife place is just like a hornet's nest waiting to explode. So jumping to the Agent May plotline, we find out all about her past, why it is she has such crazy PTSD. She killed a child. Admittedly, a crazy powerful child that she had to kill, But it was so much fun seeing her so decompressed, like seeing the mundane Agent May. She's still very powerful, still a badass fighter, but she didn't have that edge that she has in the present day scenes. If you were a little confused as to what was going on, the mother was an Inhuman who had a daughter who wanted her daughter to be able to take in the Terrigen Mist as her birthright. Jiaying, Sky's mother, detected a darkness, quote unquote, detected that the child was crazy, so she was like, nope. So she wanted to prevent that. So the mother ran away with the child, stole some Terrigen crystals, and the child got crazy psionic abilities. You could think of it as a reference to Maximus the Mad, who's Black Bolt's crazy brother and has mad psionic abilities. We do get to see like the end point, like she ends up at the desk where we see her at the beginning of season 1. So it was a nice way to tie it back to the beginning. Here's my big question for you guys. What was your favorite moment from the episode? And are there any other characters on the show who we haven't seen a flashback for that you really want to see one? The other really tortured person we saw a flashback for was Ward. We learned all about his crazy family. I think he's actually back next week, so be sure to subscribe to get that video. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really like the direction that Ward's character has taken. He is so much more fun than he was in season 1. So moving into like Avengers Phase 3 stuff, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been said because Age of Ultron's coming out, they're doing press conferences. So I'm going to start with the Hulk movie. Mark Ruffalo just explained why there is no Hulk movie on the books right now. Marvel wants to do one. They will do one eventually. It's just a matter of time. He said that Universal technically still has the legal rights. That's why Marvel hasn't attempted one so far. Side note, Joss Whedon also wanted to make Avengers 2 much more about the Hulk and Hawkeye, so he asked the other Phase 2 directors to not feature those characters, just because he was going to spend so much time on them. So it's just a matter of time till Marvel gets the rights back and they can actually do a solo Hulk film. But by that time, Mark Ruffalo might have completed his contract, so unless he re-ups and does more Hulk films after his contract is up, his 6-picture contract, we might see another actor in a solo Hulk film. The actors that are closest to completing their contracts are Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans. They have 3 pictures each left, and they're already on the books. It's like their next solo film, and then the 2 Avengers films. What I'm expecting is that of the original Avengers class, like the original actors to play like these big Avengers characters, most of them will re-sign their contracts, but 1 or 2 of them will probably leave. You have to remember that like right now we have almost like 7, 8, 9 Avenger characters. That's a lot, so they're not all going to stick around forever. Speaking of new Avengers, there are details on the Spider-Man character. Kevin Feige was going on and on about Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. Feige was really nice and he talked about like the role of the Inhumans on the TV show versus the Inhumans in the movies. What he said is that based on the budgets and the things that you could do on TV, you could pretty much guess what we're not going to see on the TV show. Mainly the royal family in Attilan. Outside of that, they'll completely explore Inhuman society, like the inner workings of that, set things up so that there's a context whenever the solo movie comes and we see all the big spectacle stuff. As for Spider-Man, I think everybody knows at this point that we're going to be seeing like a super young version of him. The costume itself will be much more primitive. He said that in the timeline of the movies right now, there is a little kid Spider-Man, like a high school Spider-Man, swinging around New York City that people just don't know about yet. And when I say people, I mean characters like Matt Murdock, Tony Stark, like the people inside the Marvel Universe, the characters. What they're going to do is focus much more on the classic wit of the Peter Parker character, much more so than the other films have ever done, the other Spider-Man films. So this will be the funniest, most wisecrackingly awesome Spider-Man you've ever seen before, going forward. Chris Evans went on to say that he really wants Captain America to be a mentor to this young Spider-Man character when we get to Captain America Civil War. He will be in the movie. Spider-Man's going to be in Civil War. We just don't know how much. We also know some stuff about Captain Marvel. Originally, she was supposed to have a cameo in Avengers 2, but they cut her out for practical reasons. Kevin Feige just said that they knew they were going to do a Captain Marvel solo film, and they already had so many characters in Avengers 2 that they were just like, okay, let's simplify this a little bit so it doesn't get too crazy. So they actually shot around planned cameos for her. Like they were going to like CG her in the background. It's just amazing how much you can change a movie after you've already shot it. They do have a writer, Nicole Perlman, who was the one who initially developed the Guardians of the Galaxy movie before James Gunn came on and did his version of the script. She's going to be writing Captain Marvel with another person. Just as a reminder, Batman vs. Superman teaser is supposed to drop tomorrow. I'll totally do a video for it. And there's supposed to be a new Star Wars Force Awakens trailer, Star Wars Episode 7. After I get through all that stuff, there'll totally be new Daredevil. So hopefully new Daredevil by like Friday or Saturday. While you guys wait for all that stuff, you can click here for the latest Ant-Man trailer, and you can click here for last night's episode of The Flash. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.